Oh geez, looks like my AC is really just kicking up my audio. Let me see if I can fix that. Check, check, check. Oh geez. Let's see if we can get some feedback from other humans, so I can figure out how to make my noise less awful. Let's try that. Check, check, check. No, maybe check, 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 check. No. Jeez. Let's go back to defaults on that. Alright, I need a human who can tell me how my audio is. Well, no feedback from any humans yet. Well, I mean, I can roll with this. I can always turn it down to like just a fan. Maybe it's actually capturing the wrong thing. Nope, never mind. That's the right thing. Let's see, maybe when I get to my main view, it'll just like be fine. Let's see, main with main with oh, wait, where's my camera? Oh, my wife stole my camera. That proves how well prepared I am. Okay, let me do this. I'm gonna do some searching for a camera. I will be right back. Thank you, friends. And with a camera. So let me just get this thing plugged in here. Get this all set up. My wife and I share one camera, and she had to do an interview last night. And nabbed it, and I didn't realize that. So, you know, sometimes that's how life goes. Alright, so I'm going to just have to adjust live. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, there I am. Oh, that's not too bad. Nope. It feels like I'm on a weird angle now. Let's roll with that. All right. So, shout out to my man Christoph Lucian for retweeting me. Wonder if he joins these things and it's just like a quiet observer. One day I will find out. Alright, looks like oh, through YouTube I have someone. No, sorry. Through that was through Twitch. Okay, well, let me try and get all my chat sorted out here, because, you know, sometimes you just gotta know who's saying what. Alright, can I pop out this chat? Oh, wait. There's I remember I found this last time, a moderation view. I think that's what I want. How do I get to my moderation view? Looking for my moderation view. Does anyone know how to use Twitch? Oh, maybe that. Okay, we're just, you know, live editing, I guess. Live something. Let's see, when I click on that, does it take me to my moderation view? It takes me to a view. Let's see, how do I... Oh, there's mod view. Yeah, it seems like I need to like go through so many things just to like, you know, get to one thing. Alright, cool. Today we're gonna do some game programming, which is, of course, much more exciting than library programming. So let's see. Just kind of rearranging a couple windows here. Maybe drag a window out here. There we go. And of course I'll bump up. Oops. That's not how I bump. There's how I bump up my font. Let's do that so it's nice and visible. Oh, that might be too big. That's fine. If anyone has any issue reading that font, let me know and I will try and adjust it. Today I have foregone my regular coffee as well. Instead, I happen to have a Full Throttle, not a sponsor, but you know, if they ever wanna sponsor me, I probably wouldn't like that. I think I would enjoy doing sponsored content. Cool. Wolfgang, my bro, how's it going? Still a little small? Well, these things can be adjusted. I mean, this guy is totally tiny, but we'll figure this one out in a second. So, basically, I kind of want to like take Cool Your Jets, and I'm going to use it as a template to move forward, and eventually I think we might replace Cool Your Jets in GitHub with this new thing. But basically I want to use new declarative canvas things, and kind of like, I don't know, make sure it vaguely does a better job than what my previous attempt at in Cool Your Jets did. Plus I kind of like, I don't know, in this thing there's a lot of state things that I wasn't super happy with, so So we're gonna call this CYJ for now, or cool your jets, and we'll figure out what a V2 looks like and how we can make it better. Or the other option is, at work for a fun project with my team, we started doing a like a Smash Brothers style game. So I could do something similar to that, simply to like kind of explore the technology and you know, find out if I have any major roadblocks ahead of me. So Wolfgang, since you are numero uno gesto magnifico, you get to decide. You want to see some space, or you want to see some like Smash Brothers style fighting thing. Vote now with one vote. Oh, there we go. Let's actually look up here. While you think of that decision, I'm just gonna put on some tunes, which again I'm pretty sure I can't share. So but you know what? You can pick your own tunes. That's the great thing about just talking streams, is, you know. Okay, yeah, let's go with the fighting one then. Okay, so I'm gonna, oops, let's get it there. Oh, cool. All right, and we're gonna remove that directory then, because, you know, we don't need it. And we're gonna do, I'm gonna call this Smash for for a lack of better name. Cool. So we're gonna do the old use NVM 12, and we'll do a yarn init, and, you know, go through all those defaults. Cool. And then we're gonna do a so we got a couple options here. So we could go with a package thing. That might actually be better, because then I get live reloading. You know, I don't even need to ask that question. Then we're just gonna pull in parcel, because I think that'll be the easiest thing to get up and running. Although I do like Servor. In fact, we've got a lot of neat, like, hyper app related community server tools. But, you know. Cool. So we got that, and declarativus. Cool. All right. So we're just gonna make a, I guess, a source directory, and we got an index HTML in there. I think if I do doc type HTML. Oh man, I was using something that did that auto built the whole template, but I think that was actually a different editor. So never mind. That's okay. Let's just do HTML5. HTML boiler. I always hate just having to remember all these like meta tags, but at the same time, I find that like a lot of these results end up being like styles and all sorts of things that I don't really care about. And geez, I don't want to. I don't want to download this. This is not a hard thing. I just want, like. Ugh. Okay, let's just find your index.html. That's all I want. Oh my god, why is this hard? Okay, there it is. I'm just blind. Okay, so we're gonna like grab most of this and then yank out all the stuff I don't care about, which is probably gonna be like a good portion. Oh, that's also interesting that it defaults to all sorts of things there. Okay, let's destroy most of that. Let's delete that. Jeez, for a boilerplate, this sure has a lot of junk in it. Jeez. Okay, remind me never again to look up boilerplates and use them, because ugh. class Node.js. What? Jeez. Okay, I officially hated that boilerplate. So man, how's it going? Life's going well. Got any neat projects on the go? Oh, nice. I've tried a blog so many times, and I'm not the kind of person to do it. Let's so like, good on you. I think that also really helps market yourself too. So you know, depending on that, you know. But yeah, I really liked that HyperApp article you had. So. That's fair. Actually, maybe as part of this game, I could like. So I've been trying to think through. Jorge had some ideas that I don't know that I 100% agree with on, like integrating declarativeness with HyperApps. So I've been kind of like digesting what a good way to do that is. So maybe we will add that in here too. Oh, nice. Feel free, actually, let me see if I can, feel free to drop in your YouTube channel, which, or wherever you want to put those videos. If you don't have them now, then just like in the future, or if you tweet them, let me know, and then I'll make sure I retweet and connect the channels. It's like a man. yeah. Okay, so let's do import app and H from HyperApp. Import render and C from declarativeness. Still not really sold on this name. Jeez. Yeah, nice. Yeah, and so if you're gonna do videos, and if you have any resources on like how you're doing the videos, because I've been thinking about doing like videos myself again, where it's just like, you know, like a semi-professional video. I found that my old ones were just like kind of like this, where it's just like a conversational stream, and I don't really know how to do like a reasonable quality like video, so. Oh, nice. Alright, so I think maybe for now we won't worry too much about that, and we will, however, split out some actions here. And, oops, let's do start actions from actions. Alright, so let's see. We know we have a node, which would be like document query selector. I don't know what the state's going to look like yet. You got any opinions on putting functions in your state? Like doing like, you know, like, I've always felt like this. It's always, it feels like the wrong thing because of like it's not serializable, but at the same time it's like pretty convenient. What is 720p? Set with 1280. Just get a nice standard size on there. Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, it's not my thing either. So, one thing I was experimenting with is for declarativists and dealing with state for rendering specifically, is having like a self-updating method that like kind of like had a built-in state. So it would be like a nested function that had like its own state context, but the state was only like one deep. If that makes any sense for like for how deep it is in the stack, I guess. And then I was like, oh, well, how do I want to do that? But I think ultimately what you know really is there is it would be like, you know, a campus state in here versus like the rest of it being hyperwrap. Oh man, actions in V2. Like if RA did anything right about V2, I agree with you. I think the actions are really slick. I'm gonna clear that out for now. So we're gonna render a canvas, and we're gonna just, I don't know, hand bomb some style in there. Mr. Frets, I am doing well. How are you? Also, welcome to the stream. That should be okay for now. Oops. Oh yeah, I totally didn't mean scripts. It's a script. There we go. Yeah, man. You're free to hang out if you like to watch people program, which you know, I understand isn't everyone's cup of tea, but yeah, feel free. I don't mind chatting either. But yeah, doing well. Trying to avoid sun or heat stroke or whatever it's called these days. Let's have a JavaScript error in here. Oh yeah. Interesting, interesting. I don't know what any of that is meant to mean here. So I think I can do a defer in here and then just dump that in here, which is what I prefer anyway, but see, maybe there's like a tag that wasn't closed properly. Oh, looks it's just being weird. So do that. There we go. I think I'll bring in Tailwind too. I've been using Tailwind in like everything lately. My only gripe with it is there's like, I don't know, a good chunk of tooling you gotta sort out for it. But, you know, it's also really good, so. Okay, I can't remember. Are you using Tailwind these days? Also, I'm guessing this is more of a, no, it's not really a depth dependency. Okay, I can roll with that. Yeah, okay. Oh, right. No, that's Alexander from France that's doing it. Yeah, the guy who actually wrote Tailwind used to work at the company that I'm currently at. It's nice. I don't know if I have like particularly strong opinions about it, but I like how it works. Well, then there's a couple places where like CSS attributes that I'm like accustomed to being one particular way are like renamed for reasons, but not necessarily like good reasons. But I don't know what constraints he's dealing with, but it's pretty cool. Oh yeah, so I was actually I think I've told you this, but we were using your platform to do an integration for a company, and the company was like, hey, why don't you just use the ServiceNow widgets? And we tried, and just the thing that we had set up was just like completely fighting against everything about the ServiceNow widgets. I don't know if those are any better now, or I shouldn't say better, but like more open source, standardized. I don't know. But it was interesting. And man, that API, what a ride. I mean, I enjoyed the ServiceNow API, but it became really clear really quickly that like ServiceNow was like originally just a ticket platform, and then at some point it became more than that, and now you've got like all this like polymorphic stuff. Well, let me tell you, it took us like, I don't know, maybe a solid week of like going through the docs to figure out how to get the stuff that our client wanted. But yeah, I'm done that project though. That was a while ago. But all right, let's see if I can struggle my way through configuring Tailwind. Oh, nice. Yeah, I was working on this widget integration thing. Oh, that must have been a year and a half ago or 2 years ago. So yeah, I'm happy because yeah, when I started, I think it was like a pretty new thing. So we were talking with one of the reps at ServiceNow. They're like, hey, why don't you just use this? We tried it. It's just between documentation and compatibility, it was a bit of a bad time. But no, that's really good to hear. Also, I have to let my my work buddy know that worked on this project with me. That's like, hey, I know a dev from ServiceNow, and he'll be like, what? And it'll be 30 seconds of excitement followed by okay. That's usually how it goes, though. All right, so I'm gonna make a bold move here. I'm gonna make a JS and a CSS directory for sanity's sake. I'm gonna just delete this for now because I'm not using it. All right. like link was it rel style sheet href equals something like CSS. I guess we what do I want to call this? I guess we'll call it tailwind.css. Why not? Unless there's a file that already got generated that I don't know about. Not really. Okay, so we're gonna go into CSS and we're gonna do tailwind.css. And let's see. Oh, by the way, I'm also like a Sass guy. I really liked Stylus, but unfortunately that kind of died real hard. But that's alright. Let's see, so Tailwind will swap some directives. If you're using post CSS import, maybe we need to do that. Sure. Process your CSS with Tailwind. For most projects, you want to add Tailwind. It's a post CSS plugin. Oh, and then there's like a build. Ugh. Is there? I remember doing this with. You know what? I'm gonna like leave this in a half-done state for that piece. I don't want to get bogged down by setting up Tailwind. Because really all I wanted to do was something like display block, and then a margin 0 auto. Really? We'll come back to Tailwind later. I really like it, I just don't like all the setup involved. But it's one of the things where it's like once it's set up, you never think about it again. But you need to actually like get to that. Cool. So we've got a state here, and let's see. Is there a good drawing tool I can I do like a actually maybe before I go to my Google account, let's just make sure it doesn't default to like my my work stuff, because then I'd have to like hide some stuff and it would be really awkward. And okay, here we go. All right, so so I'm just thinking like for Smash Brothers, how would I want to do this? So let's pretend that all my players are local for the time being. So here's our let's say this is our screen, and sure, yeah. So the simplest version that we're doing at work right now is we want to just put like a platform that we'll just make black for now, and like center of the screen, something like that. So V1 could easily just be like squares, right? So so like that, and then each square would have its color, and then we can look at you know, figuring out how to turn these squares into like sprites of some sort, because I think you know, at some point we're gonna have to, you know, make it look prettier. But like for now, I think this is fine. In fact, we could probably make these rectangles, because I think that's going to be like more indicative of what our sprites will look like. So you know, let's pretend. I guess it's not going to let me know equal distances. Anyway, so something like this, and then you know, this guy will be like WASD, and this guy will be arrows. And then ultimately, you know, we're gonna like start integrating more things. One thing that a technology that I want to figure out is WebRTC peer-to-peer. So what I'd like is to be able to like host a game and other people can just like join it. And then, you know, the ultimate goal of what we want to do with like the work project is like down here you'll have like this. Let me do a perfect circle. Maybe, but it also won't tell me. Anyway, that doesn't matter that much. So we're gonna just like put this here. So ultimately, I'd want like I probably should use a smiley face. It's so much better. Okay, let's go with that. But yeah, so we'd have like this guy, and like maybe he's on like a voice channel of some sort. So we'd have some information here anyway. So like, you know, like, oh my god, oh my god, there we go. And let's. It's really strange that it defaults to these like a lot of padding and stuff, but yeah, let's top align and left align and make that like oh, I see. I was like, hey, it doesn't look like anything's changing, and it turns out you know, there's reasons for that. We'll put that at like 10. Still really confused why there's so much padding going on with that. But anyway, so you know, we'll get a name, and then probably some other stats like, you know, how much health your character has or how many lives. Like if I were to look at, so I wanted to mention like Brawlhalla. So if we just like look at the UI of the game, if just sort of want to see like how other games do this. No, I don't want to go to YouTube. I just want to see the picture bigger. Okay, view image. Okay, so I don't understand anything about this. Let's see if we can find something that has different information. We might be able to glean more about what like some of those UI elements mean. Like certainly like Smash Brothers, they have like some sort of like percentage bar that I also don't quite understand. Like I never actually played a lot of Smash Brothers growing up. But yeah, like up here, these certainly to me look like health meters or, oh geez, that's really small. It's also another time where I'm reminded that I'm old because I almost feel, oh geez, like I need some glasses or something to see half these. Okay, well these are all like ridiculously small resolutions, so I'm guessing, oh maybe it's because it's grabbing stuff from like YouTube thumbnails. Alright, let's see, that looks like it's got some UI stuff in there. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, what we can glean for sure is that there's certainly some sort of like, up here in the top, some information about like the current health statistics. And there's like platforms, and it's like you can fall to your doom. Oh, this image is big. Let's grab this one. So I don't know what any of these numbers mean. I think this person's like a -3. This person's a 300. So that's kind of weird. It looks like there's some power-ups as like options. But yeah, like kind of like a lightweight game though in general, right? Like there's not a lot going on. There's like a static background, a couple static, maybe like 1 or 2 dynamic like other like level pieces, but for now like we could get away with like kind of this initial middle brick and have just players respawn down there. So you know, just to think that one out. So some things that I can immediately think that we would want. So regardless of things being on the canvas or not, I think we want like inputs. Yeah, let's roll with that. Essentially, like as a new player joins, let's say we do like player 1. I don't know what this key will actually look like, but we sort of want to know. Actually, we could just say like horizontal. And the nice thing about horizontal means that we can use game pads pretty easily. So that would be a 0. So -1 would be moved to the left, 1 would be moved to the right. Vertical would be probably like positive number is like hit upwards, and negative number would be crouch, maybe. So we got that, and then there'd be some other. We'll use numbers for them for the sake of being like interoperable with controllers and keyboard, but we'll want like we'll say punch, kick, jump, and what else? What else would you be able to do in here? It's like I'd assume that you can use like combinations of like vertical and kick and vertical punch, and like jump horizontal to control like a lot of the game. Yeah, and like maybe like a duck punch grabs an item. That all seems pretty reasonable to me. So anyway, that's what a player state looks like. So let's actually data model that a little bit. So let's do export const, or say add player, and we're gonna get a state, and then I think we'll get something like an ID that represents which player we're interacting with. And to add the player will be something like all the state inputs, and all the other inputs, and then ID is going to be horizontal 0. Actually, we can just copy this stuff. Nice. And that's really all it needs. It doesn't need any context of where these inputs come from. I think we'll have subscriptions that particularly handle that stuff. Let's see. So we got inputs, and that that's something that certainly the canvas tick function can use, but HyperApp doesn't necessarily need to know super frequently. So we'll see how that goes. We've got our canvas. Let's see. So there's a couple ways that we care about getting inputs, and that's going to, for the most part, drive the state of the game. Also thinking like, so maybe for now I ignore the fact that there could be a network, because as soon as there's a network, then it means like who's the boss and how do we replicate states in between systems, and I don't necessarily want to have to do that. So yeah, okay. We'll start with inputs, and we'll see where that takes us. So once we have a player, we could do like export const. I guess there's also remove player. And in fact, I kind of want to namespace these a little differently, so let's do player add, and then player remove. And then from here we could do something like, what was that? We did this really neat technique last time. Let's do omit, and then should be able to do a key and then an object. And I think we can do something like next object. there's some sort of like crazy destructure that we did. Oh, I think we can just say like discard, and then rest equals object. Then we can just do return rest. So this is actually next object. This I think is actually mapped like that. And this just becomes state, and then inputs will be emit ID state inputs. That's not too bad. Oh, and this becomes next object. I can live with that. Alright, and then obviously we need to deal with well, already I feel like this is wrong, because right now we're using like an inputs object. I think this is actually a player's object, and then inside there they'll each have an input object. I think that makes more sense, because like even here it's not like input add, it's player add, player remove. So do that. So this becomes inputs. The only downside of this is now it's going to be kind of a deeply nested set of things, but maybe that's fine. We'll see. Some other stuff that we probably want to data model is, so let's say we have players. We probably want something like a canvas state. And in here I want to track width to be 1280, height to be 720. And the reason for this is I think we want to track the actual window dimensions and make sure we scale down if we don't have enough space for this resolution, or you know, rotate it or do whatever we have to do to make it work. And then this is going to give us the added benefit of inside here we can also like place players in like the top middle of the screen, so they can like kind of drop down from gravity. That should be okay. In fact, we could have like you know, the real resolution versus like a virtual resolution. So I did that with Cool Your Jets, where I had like a split screen thing where there's like virtual resolutions inside each of those split screens. So that might become more complicated and make this a little more robust, but for now I think this is fine. And this becomes state dot canvas dot width and state dot canvas height. So we'll go with that for now. So we got inputs, and then we could let's give them on top of that a color for now, just for the sake of having like some way of tracking them. So we're gonna say so this isn't really inputs, it's not really data. I mean, like, it could just be attributes, but I don't like calling it attributes because then it's like, it's no better than just top leveling it. So maybe we do that. Also, I guess we should put ID in there for easy reference. So we could do color, and maybe X, which will default to state.canvas.width divided by 2. And Y will also be state.canvas. Actually, no, that would be like 100 or something like that. Probably less than that. Let's go 10. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Cool. So that gives us enough information that I think we can like start rendering something on the canvas. Other than that, I think we also want a level object. And what does a level look like? So I'm guessing for now we can describe it in like just terms of like rectangles. And we could probably do some other stuff too, like Well, let's not even deal with that. So let's just say geometry. And our first thing can be a just thinking through like what it means to have geometry and what's going to be something that's going to, like, for the most part, be good later. But I guess for now we can assume that's always a rectangle, in which case we can just say x is going to be, like, I don't know, we could do, well, I think like 100 in, y is going to be 700, and then our width is going to be 1080, and our height will be, of course, 20, and that's just going to, you know, sit on the bottom for now. And then some attributes. Other than that, I don't know. So we're going to roll with that. So right now we're just going to assume it's always rectangles, and they're always static. That's going to make our lives, I think, reasonably easy. So for us to render this is going to be a bit of a thing. So I could use subscription state. We also have to have like a series of subscriptions in here. So for now, I'm gonna save this because I don't think we need to do much else with it yet. Other than we could actually add some players, but I think we'll do like a keyboard player subscription, and then we can just like manually give those for the time being IDs and colors, and then figure out how we want to draw them. So if we're doing that, let's do effects.js for now. And so we want, actually no, let's do subscriptions. We'll have to. Which, I mean, for the sake of, I don't know, just like hyperwrap. These are effectively the same things, like effects and subscriptions, but you know, life. So we want to do a subscription that can connect us to the canvas. Oh, here's the thing that we could do. This, I don't know if I like it, but we're gonna roll with it. So, you don't know context 2D of the canvas. It's something that we have to like use a function to get once we have the canvas. And it makes sense to me that we probably like we'll have to get it after our first render, which technically a subscription happens after the first render, like the checks on there, I think. So there might be a nice way to connect the two. So we'll call this the canvas context sub, which gets a dispatch, and then we're going to want some actions in there. So we're going to do set context as an action. So at the very end, it's going to dispatch set context null, and here we're going to say you know, like attempt to get context, which is going to look something like this. We're going to say canvas is going to be actually let's call this document.query selector canvas query selector. And semicolon there. Then we'll say if we don't have a canvas, then we're just going to do a return set timeout do another attempt in like 1 second. And then otherwise we should be able to do something like dispatch set context, and then we're just going to pass it canvas.get context 2D. So this feels like it shouldn't be a subscription. So we'll see. We'll see. And I need an extra parentheses there. Then I'll do conf canvas context equals props canvas context sub props. Subscriptions from subscriptions. And now I should be able to do something like subscriptions dot canvas context, and we're going to pass in a couple things here. So, for instance, we know the canvas queries. Let's try that. There we go. Is going to be just canvas. It's an ID. It's nice and easy, and then set context. We don't have an action for that yet. Oh, I mean, we could do a full second, but like I'm guessing within like the minimum time frame of like, I don't know. It should probably be more than 1, but I don't think it needs to be all the way up to like 1. We could probably do like 250, and by all the way up to 1, I mean all the way up to 1 second. Like this should happen pretty quick, but I think there are some differences that Zach saw between like Chrome and Firefox in terms of like when subscriptions is called versus when the render happens versus like when the DOM's actually updated. Like there's a couple like little like timing things. Yeah, sorry, I was out gardening, so I think I have a little bit of poo brain from the sun. But yeah, it's all good. So we'll say canvas set context, and we'll just make that action. Ah, yeah, that's actually a good call. Hold on to that thought, and I'll come back to that in a second. One thing that kind of sucks about this is like the canvas context is like not it's totally not the right thing to be storing in state, so I might pull that out at some point, but for now we'll use it. It's not a big deal. Okay, so yeah, you made a good point, so let's go ahead and do request animation frame, which behind the scenes, I think HyperApp is using that for like next tick anyway, so yeah, that should be the right thing to do. Presumably it's only gonna have to like do this once or twice. And I guess we'll also have to do a request animation frame attempt here. Because I find every time I attempt to run something that does dispatch immediately, you always get like these infinite loops. Oh yeah, let's get rid of this Brawlhalla thing, because I'm sure there's some sort of copyright infringement going on with that. Let's see, canvas context. Yeah, that makes sense. I never exported it. Let's fix that. There we go. And let's also pull this to the side. Alright, so let's just do a console log got context. Okay, cool. I just want to make sure that's actually like doing the right stuff and the stage isn't being blown away accidentally, and you know, all that fun stuff. Cool. And then the nice thing about this is if this app ever unmounts, then this will kind of clean up its context reference, which I don't think actually matters that much, but you know. Cool. So now that we have the context, we need a way to do some rendering. And the way that I think we're going to do that is, for the time being, wait for like keyboard inputs for the time, or like for right now. So I'm going to say I'm going to have a keyboard player, and that's going to be a sub that listens to, you know, whatever we want. So in this case, I think we're going to be taking in some information about the ID that we want to give this player. Now ultimately there'll be some other thing handling this in the future, but this is really just a like test rig to get us up and going. And then we're also going to provide it a color of some sort. And then we need like keybinds, which is going to be a little gross, but hopefully won't be too gross. So we'll see. So I think we want, let's see. Yeah, we'll just do, you know, key up, key down. And then, you know, I have to cancel out those as well. So I think we can do just document add event listener. Now I could do this on the canvas, so then you're forced to give it focus. I actually kind of like that. So let's do canvas query selector in this as well. Key up, and that'll be key up. Actually, maybe we'll go with the same casing, just so it's like less jarring. I don't know that's actually better. I kind of like the camel case on these, but and so obviously we need to be able to submit stuff, so we need a on input change. We'll go with on input change until it becomes clearly bad. So here we want to find like, well, let's fantasy code what we think this will look like, and then we'll make it work that way. So if I do subscriptions.keyboard player, oh, by the way, this should say sub. Alright, so obviously we're going to have this again, which is fine. And our ID, we're just going to call this like P1, player1, doesn't matter. Color, we will do my favorite eye blinding F0F for now. And keybinds. So I think if we look at the different inputs here, so we need up, down, left, right, punch, kick, jump. So we'll do up. So we'll have to do a little bit of math, which kind of sucks, but life. So up is, for this we'll do, actually, let's do this, arrow up, B up. So I think if we do the keybinds like this, then my lookup's always gonna like be smoother. I'm not gonna have to do any extra processing. So arrow down will be, of course, down, and arrow left is going to be left. Arrow right, right is going to be right. And then let's see what's going to be like a nice. I guess we'll do ZX for now. So I think we can do key Z is going to be punch. kick. I don't even know if this makes sense. I mean, technically, I'm not even going to really be using these at all yet. Yeah, so it doesn't matter. And then key space. But just be space, actually. We'll roll with that until we find out I'm wrong, which I'm sure is going to happen. Okay, so we got some key binds in there. Now what else do we need? On input change. And this would be something like actions dot player input change, something to that extent. So let's boost this guy up to the top for now. Put some extra spacing in there until I know kind of if that gets extracted to like utilities or something. So for player input change, we're going to get state, and presumably we get something like ID input key and value. That seems sort of good. Yeah. Okay. So that is going to look vaguely like this. And by vaguely like this, I mean like not really like that at all. Okay, so we don't need that. We don't need this. We sort of don't need that. So let's do state players ID inputs, and then we're gonna have to do so change is like maybe not really quite the right thing. Yeah, let me kind of digest, because like for key up and key down, so let's say I want to hold down left and right. I want that to like zero itself out. So yeah, this might take some thought. Well, I mean, like I can like track a local state in here and then just deal with that and then pass out the right stuff, because it kind of makes sense, because keybinds has like up and down, but really I only care about is like vertical and horizontal. So I could do something like let's I'm gonna call this local for a lack of a better term right now. Actually, you know what? Okay, we'll say up is false, is 0. Down is 0. Left is 0. Right is 0. The other ones we don't care about as much, because we can just like use those values. So this will eventually just become input key value. I think that's going to be the right thing. But here we kind of want to know if we need to like dig further into local. So I think the first thing we can do is say, do we have a keybind? It's going to be keybinds event. I think it's code, but we'll do that. And actually, let's put that in key down for right now. And we'll do that. Okay, so that doesn't exist, of course not, because we need to do export keyboard player. Oh man, I'm having a lot of trouble typing today. So unexpected something. Okay, well, I mean, I've got a lot of junk on this screen, so let's tidy ourselves up a little bit here. Okay, so the problem here. Oh, export const. I see. Well, parent is null. Oh, well, we can fix that part pretty easily. So here we're going to say only do this if we have state.canvas.context. Yay. Okay, so if okay, so I'm apparently not getting any inputs from there, so I'm going to just change this to document temporarily. Okay, so for reasons Canvas isn't actually accepting like, I guess, focus maybe? That seems kind of wrong. But I mean, it is what it is. So there I was getting the right arrow things, and if I do Z, so the key, so it looks like key is the thing that I want, and for characters it just gives me the string. But I'm under the impression that there's like a like code. I think code is actually the thing that I want. So let's do that. Yeah, there we go. That looks better. Okay, so now that we have those, and we have this like local state here that we can manage as we need. So we get our keybind, and it is able to find the right thing. So one thing we want to do there is also say local value, local keybind, I guess. So we may not have anything there. So we're going to say something like, oh, actually, let's do if keybind. Yeah, what? I think there's a way to check. Say ES6 if key is in object. I mean, ultimately, I can just say like if this thing isn't undefined as well. But I thought there was like a fancy. There we go. If key in my object. Okay. So if keybind in local, then we're gonna have to do a little bit of magic. So we could also say if it isn't, then we could just, you know, bail early. But I think we'll want to yeah, we're gonna want to do something here. In fact, I think here this is like we're gonna change this to state. It's a local state. Okay. Cool, man. Stay safe and healthy and all those things. Alright, so if we have a local state, we want to know which value it relates to, and and maybe like a multiplier. So like that would be a 1, but this one would be a multiplier, -1. It's left, so that would be a -1. Alright, and so if we have this, I think we actually want to just like maybe do some sort of immutable thing. Yeah. So it's not actually, I think multiplier and value kind of end up being this. Yeah, I don't think we need that. Let's get rid of this. And our code will just kind of inherently know which way is which. So if the keybind that they pressed has a local state that we're going to like translate from, then we need a way to update the correct value and then add up its opposite. No, we can do some switches on here, I think. So let's just do a switch, and this would be keybind. So if our keybind is up, then let's just do a call this update. This would be keybind, and what else? This value. For instance, with up, we want to do state is going to be update up keybind, and then this would be a 1. Well, I mean, in that case, most of these become that. But we still want to report the right thing. So for up and down, I think we want to do something like dispatch. Well, what if we did something more like like, what are we calling that over in actions? Input key. Input key is going to, of course, default to keybind. In these cases, we want this be int value, and by default, of course, this is a 1 because it is key down. But in these cases, up and down is really input key, and this is going to be vertical. And then value is going to be state dot up dot value minus state dot down dot value. And this is going to do the same sort of thing. is going to be positive and left is going to be negative. This canvas. Now at the very end of this, no matter what, we can do a dispatch of on input change. And then we're going to have to pass some properties to it. And according to this, we need the player ID. We need the input key, which we've already calculated, and the value, which we've already calculated as well. And I think key up is going to be pretty similar to this. So let's do this. Let's say, oh, you know what? We'll duplicate it and then we'll refactor it down. So I know the default in this case is going to be 0. Alright, so once we have that, of course, we want to dispatch that as well. Let's go up here. I feel like I'm missing a thing. Okay, I just didn't copy it correctly, but that should be good now. Alright, so if I refresh this, state player's ID is undefined. That makes sense. So we need one thing that does add the player and also remove. So this would be on add, on remove. Okay, so we're going to do a request animation frame. And this is just going to call our dispatch with on add, and we know our ID and color. And this is going to effectively call our player add, which only cares about ID and color for now. And then when we're doing a teardown, we can also request the on remove. And in this case, we just need the ID. So we got on add, on remove, and those things aren't wired up to anything. So let's wire those up. Alright, we got like all sorts of object is undefined. So let's expand this one first. So I was trying to do some like removes. And that doesn't make a lot of sense. Oh, well, yeah, that sort of makes sense. This is actually players. Object has no properties. Yeah, I mean, like that's a possibility as well. Okay, so what is wrong with this? So omit, take some stuff. So let's just do console. Oh geez, console log omit. I don't know, like Lodash has this too, but yeah. Apparently this is locked into some sort of infinite loop, which is a little shitty. So let's see, why would that be a problem? And okay, well let's we'll just close the tab. back. But I sort of feel like I think there's some sort of weird caching thing because there's, as far as I'm concerned right now, there's no good reason for that to be an infinite loop. Of course, I have been known to be incredibly wrong, and I clearly am. So let's see what's going on here. So when we add a keyboard player, we have this on add and on remove. On the subscription level, both those kind of happen in like request animation frames. I think actually the teardown doesn't need that, but I could be wrong. But yeah, calling like a dispatch immediately isn't good, so let's do maybe a set timeout. Part of me is not just a part of me, a full me, if you will, is very curious what's going on. Something is up. Also, my computer might be locking up, and I'm not sure why that is. I'm gonna close Firefox altogether, and so I think something weird's going on there. So while that's going on, I'm just going to, in a separate window off screen, just do a image top and figure out what's going on. There shouldn't be anything that's particularly consuming right now. I mean, OBS is really trying its best, but at the same time, like, I have a lot of CPUs. Oh, Albert was certainly doing something kind of crazy. Let's kill Albert for now, because of course I don't have any reason to be using that directly. I mean, it's nice to have. Let's see, SDDM is like really eating up some memory. You know, like, I really like KDE. Like, I think aesthetically it's pretty good, but I don't know, it's eating up a lot of memory that I don't want it to. So yeah. Okay, well, let's reopen Firefox here and get that all sorted out. I mean, close that stuff. The rest of this looks fine, and make sure all that stuff is paused. Yeah, you don't need to stream any of that. And I'm guessing I need to repop out my YouTube chat here. Also, I haven't gotten any like real feedback from anyone on how like YouTube stream is in comparison to anything else. I'm assuming it's good, but I just don't know. So I'm just gonna close like so many things that I have open right now. And let's just grab a new tab, and let's greatly simplify this whole thing. So on add is doing something weird, so is on remove. So what I would like to do is get rid of one of these two, and we will see. So I'm not getting like any errors. Of course, we can do a console log destroying keyboard player. So I do get that a lot. That's weird because it only cares about this context, but we're not even using that. So oh, it's because of the keybinds. Huh. Okay, well let's do this. The keybinds will be arrow keybinds. There we go. Okay, so the problem was I was rebuilding some of this every time, which of course is particularly problematic. And then of course that puts us in a loop of animation frames, and I think that can cause all sorts of issues. And I'm not getting any feedback on the state changing, but that doesn't necessarily mean that nothing's changing. And I mean, these are mostly the same, so let's actually just do a const key handler. Is going to be, of course, default value. So most of this is going to be the same. This becomes key handler 0, and this one becomes key handler 1. Which is like much tidier, and then we can do something like just a console log event. Nice. So all that looks pretty sane to me. So we can go over here to input change, and we could maybe dig into what this ends up being, or we could just like, I don't know, do some updates for now. What's going to be the best way to do that? So we could have an action that renders the canvas. The problem with that is then we gotta like push an update through hype wrap several times in a row. So for instance, like I could do export const, and we call this like render, and maybe render takes in just our state, and it's gonna have to do some stuff and return our current state, and then some sort of an effect. And this effect would be like a single render. And so that's gonna like, there's gonna be some misdirection. But if we did we just made like a canvas directory and then a index.js. So inside here, if we had a response view and we took in a context and state, we could do something to the effect of render and C from declared this. Yeah, so this could look like render context and then like whatever we want at that point. Maybe that's not too bad. So we could do a let's see, so if we do a save and a restore C fill style, and we'll use of course my favorite value if let's see fill rect. Now let's do 0 0 and then width and height can be like 100. So that is like a thing that we could do. Yeah, cool. So get rid of that. And we're not using state yet, and that's fine. We do need an effect though. So now that we know that we're exposing a view function here, let's see. So our effect could also manage the declarative stuff. So we could do render, which we could do star as declarativeness from declarativeness. We do like a const declarativeness fx, and this will take in a dispatch, which we're going to promptly ignore. Then the entire application state. I don't know if that's going to be good. We'll find out. And this should do something like request animation frame. And inside here, I could do declarativeness dot render. And we get state dot canvas context. And then we could do import star as canvas from canvas. This become canvas view. In that case, we can just get away with passing in state because state has a context anyway. And then this becomes an export const declarative. And we'll call it state here just because it's gonna, I think, make more sense and be a little more readable. I don't know how true those statements actually are though in practice. We shall see. Alright, so that being exported, we should be able to do like a import star as effects from effects. And then we just need to pass in the entire state for now. One thing we could do is track the animation frame, and then if there's subsequent renders that haven't happened yet, it can try and cancel those. I sort of like that. It would be a little more efficient. I don't know how efficient, but a little. So if we went to index here, so we've got our width height, we've got a context, and what if we did a raf handle? Use a null. And then in actions, we've got some canvas stuff, so we could say export const canvas set request animation frame. That will only ever be one thing, and there's no reason why we'd ever want something else, so that's why I am not using an object there. Actually, let's just call that ref handle. Now that I've called it that, I'm not sure if that's what I called it up here. Okay, it is. Cool. And then up here we could do, we could take in a couple things. So state's already going to have that, so we could do something like cancel animation frame state.canvas.wrap handle. So worst case scenario, the function is already running and the cancel does nothing. And best case scenario is there's a queued up render that we know we just updated more information to, so it doesn't make any sense that we render twice. And here we get a wrap handle. This would be set wrap handle, something to that extent. And this can be real dispatch. I think because it uses request animation frame behind the scenes, I'm curious if there's ever a way that that an update would happen before an animation frame. Yeah, I don't know. This seems like I'm optimizing for a case that doesn't exist. So you know what? Let's I'm gonna bail from this. This seems like it's the wrong move. So we'll just always queue up, and we're never going to try and cancel anything for now. And if I ever find that we actually do need to cancel, then we can figure it out there. But I'm under the impression that it's not going to change. At least we'll never get into a point where the code is fast enough that the things behind the scenes that run request animation frame will be slower than an animation frame actually being rendered. Cool. Anyway, so now we have the means to render and a nice isolated place where we can render things, and we know it works. So, well, I mean, we think it works, I should say. So, with that in mind, I think we need a new subscription called the tick or something like that, like RAF subscription, and this is going to take in our dispatch, and then we need at least one action in here, which is going to be one tick, something like that. So let's see, we got some stuff. Cool, and then really this is just a big old loop. So I think we need to track a couple things because of just the asynchronous nature of things. So I think we need a done set to false. And then we also want a handle, which is going to be set to null. And then we're going to say on animation frame. So we need to give it a method. And here, of course, we can do dispatch on tick. And we don't need anything else in there. But then after we're done this dispatch, this actually feels like it should be an effect. Yeah. So the reason I say an effect is like this will be running forever, and I can't think of a good reason why we'd want anything particularly different there. Okay, I'm gonna actually pull this out into an effect for now. There's not gonna really be a good reason for it to stop. Now, the thing is, here we've already kind of gotten an effect, right? Which is like after an animation frame, do a render, and then we could easily just say like dispatch. Do we have an action? Yeah. So that would just be the next render. Yeah. Okay. So let's we're gonna pull this back out into multi-lines there, and this is gonna become props now because it's gonna make more sense in the long run for it to be props. And then we're gonna just have a after render action. And that's just gonna recall render, and it's just gonna be a big old loop. This becomes after render action render. That just reschedules another thing, and then once it's done, it's gonna just keep on going, just, you know, big old cycle. And then of course that means that we have to initially kick this off. So let's go into our index, and we've got our initial state here. I'm tempted to do what I like to call the Jorge no-no, which is where init becomes an action, even though it's like, it's totally not, but Jorge, if you ever watch this, I love you. But I sort of want to turn this into an action. Anyway, so we're going to call this, this is what, declare to this, and we need a reference to the state. So, I mean, for now, we'll pull this into as a method. And then we can do something like that. And do a return of state, and then need to actually trigger this with our state, and then after render action to be render. And then this guy just becomes which I'm not a huge fan of, but like, you know, it's fine. It's fine. Okay, so it says render does not exist on line 41 apparently, which does seem like a thing. Yeah, that needs to be actions.render. Then state.canvas is undefined. Yeah, that does sort of make sense. So what we can do here is we really want to like do this render part if we have a context. So we can just say if state.canvas.context, then do that. And otherwise, let's just do a dispatch and then, you know, wait it out. And then, of course, we need to make that real dispatch. Unable to render save. Alright, so what's up with that? Because save is definitely a primitive. So if we investigate into this, and we look at, oh well, this is this might be wrong. Yeah. Okay. So this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna say we're gonna go into declaratives and we're gonna git stash include tracked because I don't remember. Oh, include untracked. There we go. We're gonna go into master and we're gonna do a yarn. What is it like? Link. Cool. And then we're gonna go into smash and we're gonna do yarn link declaratives. Cool. And then hopefully I can debug whatever's going on with this. So if we do a yarn scout. So unable to render save still. There we go. So now this is a link, and we've got like this ESM file here, and presumably I should be able to find like save as a thing, and that looks like we have it. Looks like we should be supporting it. Let's see, maybe I just called it wrong. Let's go down that path first. So we have our canvas in here. Oh, this is also wrong. Right, this just needs to be that now with a state. So I think there's maybe multiple problems going on, and we're going to fix it, of course. There we go. So there's our what would you call that? Like fuchsia? Hey man, welcome back. You've entered into the world of rendering now. So we've got this in here, and I think we're gonna start adding some components. And we're gonna say convertible state to be our first component. Prompts that we don't care about, and children. We're going to do something like C save, and then children. I guess that doesn't need to be. Just do that, and then C restore. So this is of course just calling canvas save, canvas restore. So if we do any matrix transforms or anything that affects like the global state, it can kind of revert those things immediately. That's the plan there. So let's grab import convertible state from components, revertible state. That's not too bad. Other than I need to import C, which makes sense. But we don't need to render, so that's nice. that means everything I think ends up being part of this reloadable state, so I don't see any point in having an extra wrapped thing. Nice. Okay, so I guess we're gonna start rendering some stuff, and then we can figure out frame rates and stuff, because there's certainly, I think there's gonna be a penalty. So my understanding, and this I think is correct, but of course I'm a human, so I think we do a request animation frame. So we'll say this is like actions render. So behind the scenes, this calls you know, effects declarative this, which in turn calls request animation frame, and then does a dispatch. I believe because of dispatch, that results in another request animation frame, which you know, then we're back here again. So I think we end up in a loop where we've got at least 2 request animation frames being stacked, and I don't know if that means that these will potentially happen on the same frame, or if that means that this is like after the next animation frame, here's like another frame queued up for the next time. I don't know off the top of my head, so that might be a thing that we're gonna care about at some point, but maybe not yet. We'll see. But anyway, let's look at our main state here. So we have level geometry, and we've got this this one block. So for now, I'm gonna make a we'll call this like a static component, but maybe like static geometry. Yeah, let's call it this. And really, what this is just like anything that that is part of the level. So we're gonna import C from that, and we're going to do export const static geometry, and this is going to take some props, and these props are going to be like the rectangle. So XY with height, and we don't need any children for that, I don't think. So we're gonna roll with this, and this will be 2 operations. So we're going to do fill style. Actually, no. Let's make these strokes. So stroke style, and that's going to be value of like black. That seems like the right sort of thing. And maybe we could also do stroke width with a value of 2, and see stroke rect props. Now we should be able to just loop over all the static geometry and just, you know, draw it all out. So let's go in here. So let's get rid of this, because this isn't really anything useful. This was just a hey, can we draw stuff, which the answer was yes. So alright, so we're going to do state.level.geometry map, and this should be static geometry, and then we can just pass geo in straight up. I think that's true. So let's save that. And unable to build stroke width. That's possible. So I'm just going to do mdn context 2D. I'm pretty sure there's something like that, but oh, line width. There we go. That's how they get you. There we go. And then because we we change the line width. I kind of feel like static geometry as a full array should probably have its own separate revertible state. So we're just gonna do a little bit of multi-lining here. So now presumably if I did a very separate, just like if we do a stroke style of so basically what I want to prove here is just that this revertible state, so because we change like the line width and things like that, that this this should appear to be thinner. So I should be able to do a stroke rect at we'll say like x 100, y 100, width 100, and height 100. Sure. And it's actually, it sort of looks like it's could be 2. So just for fun, let's do a C line width. Because the save and restore, it's not like super clear what they save and what they restore, but these two things look the same, right? So if I change this to a line width of like 5, that's obviously very thick, but that looks sort of correct already. But then again, line width 1 and 2 kind of look the same, so maybe what we'll do is static geometry, we'll set the line width to like 5, just so that's like clearly thick, and then if we comment that out. Okay, so it does reset this, so that's all I need to know. We're gonna put this back to like a 2 for now, or a 3. Just something where like we can see that it's like more than a 1. Yeah, looks like 3 is kind of where things get chunky. So let's roll with that. And so now we want to draw characters. So for now we'll call them avatars or actors, players. It's not really a player, it's like the avatar of the player. Oh, I don't know what a good name is. Let's I'm gonna go with avatar, even though that has bad connotations. Like it doesn't necessarily mean the right thing then. It's you know what, we'll call it players. Naming's hard. So we're gonna import C from that, and then don't really need a revertible state or anything like that. So we're gonna just do export const player is going to be we're gonna take in some props, and we don't really need children, so we'll just say props. And so some of the things that we're going to care about is if we look at our state of a player. So we know the X and Y position, we know the color of the player. So what I'd like to do is something to the effect of draw a rectangle that has an outline and a fill. So I think we can do stroke style, and we'll just say that is a value of black. Then I'd also like fill style of props dot color, think we'll want to do. I think it ends up being 2 rectangles, which kind of sucks. But let's do a fill rect, and this is going to be a little fun. But let's say const size for now. I think ultimately, like, we'll have like all this information in state, but for the sake of like just rendering something for the time being, let's say each character is going to be, well, 20 is the height of this, and that's pretty small. So let's go with okay. So we're going to do width is going to be 40, and height is going to be like at least 90. We'll see. And basically, I think we want to, so if we were to draw out like the rendering of this, this is sort of like, in terms of like X and Y, I should say, is we would have like, so, you know, we're like this wide, and, you know, we go down a couple times. And then I want this to be the Y position, and then X would be here, and I totally messed up that. But yeah, like you see, so I want like bottom middle to be the actual point. So to make a rectangle at that point, we want to put our X. X will be props.x minus size.width divided by 2. And Y is going to be props.y minus size.height. And then width is, of course, size. In fact, we could just spread in size in here, which will give us our width and height. Cool. And then once we do our filled rectangle, then I think we also need to do a stroke rectangle. And if that all works, which I think it should, we should be able to do something. Let's see, something like state.players, and we're going to do object.values, and we're going to map. So each of these is going to, of course, be a player. And that's not going to work out too well, so let's call this player data. And then the player data should be vaguely the props. Unable to build object. Yeah, I mean, like, that's, oh. That makes sense. There we go. Okay, so they're way up there, obviously, and that's not quite what we want. So we need a way. We need a way to update gravity, and then also make sure that no one drops like past the bottom of the screen. So we could, I mean, here's where we start getting into like some, I'm gonna call it like real data modeling, which totally isn't the right thing to call it, but so we've got level, we want a gravity, which on the X is nothing, and on the Y is going to be something to the effect of I guess we just say 1 for now. We'll have to figure out the scaling and whatever. Basically, I'm going to do this and get like gravity mostly working, and then I'm gonna probably call it a stream. I'm feeling a little drained, and I'm also all out of water. I got a little bit of an energy drink left, so we'll see how far this pushes us. Alright, so this will be like one pixel per second per something. So this will be fun. Yeah, let me tell you, we're gonna do some real shitty physics. It's gonna be pretty great. So a couple things come to mind. So one is that we probably want a Vx and a Vy and like a mass, which for now we will say players are a 1 mass. Seems like the right kind of mass. We'll find out. Cool. So using this data, we're gonna. Let's actually. I don't know what to call this because it's not going to be 100% physics. Because I think we also want things like last frame time, for instance, and we want to like do some deltas and some math. I would love to know, like, is this game? Is that a game state? Let's go with game. And this is going to be, actually, let's default to a null so we don't end up with like something where it takes like 2 ticks for an initial render and it looks weird. Cool. So we are going to, let's see, under action, so we do have this render. This render could do some stuff for us, which means it's not really going to be a render anymore. It's going to be more like a game tick, which kind of makes sense. I don't know. Okay, so let's pretend that all these things are true, and we could do something like now is performance.now, and let's do something like delta is so if we have state.game.lastFrame time, so if we have that, then of course our delta is going to be now minus state.game.lastFrame time, and otherwise let's say we have a 0 delta, which means presumably that like no math needs to be done, but this may or may not be true, so we'll find out. So now that we have a delta, we need a way to update all the players. And the way I would do this is going to be super not efficient. So we're going to say players is an object, but players is going to be something more like object.keys state.players. I'm going to reduce over that and get like next. Actually, I guess this could be players. There's no naming conflict in this scope. And then this would be like the ID of the current player, and then we're gonna give it all brand new information, I guess. Cool. So we always want to keep all of our players, and then we're going to look at the particular player ID. Default it with state.players ID. And now we got to make a couple decisions, which I think is also going to require more math. Oops. Yeah, I don't know if the state of my brain is actually in good condition to do all this math. So, like I said, this is gonna get weird or something. So let's say Vx is going to be equivalent to state. Actually, we'll say call this prev. Which would be state players ID, and just so we, you know, let's call this P. This is mostly me being lazy, and we'll have to rename this later to actually make it readable. So we're going to say p.vx plus, and then we're going to have like something times the delta. So at a 0 delta, this will effectively be no change. So we're going to take the previous, and we're going to have to do some like math because we have a certain mass and gravity. There's like some limitations. Maybe we'll ignore the fact that there are those limitations because like it's a game. It's people aren't going to be playing this to you know, yeah, to do whatever physics simulations they need for their homework. So we know this will be affected by the current gravity, so we should be able to say state.game.gravity.x times delta. So this won't be the only force, but for now it is. And then Vy is going to be kind of the same situation. And now we know we can update Vx and Vy. But that also means we can update p.x plus Vx. And y would be p.y plus Vy. But we have some constraints on our actual physical size of our canvas. So we could do a we're going to pull this in here for now. I'm going to say you know, let's we'll actually put in here clamp, call this clamp x, which is going to take in a value. Yeah, let's do it this way. And we know we have a math min, and math min is going to say at the very least, if we go beyond the state canvas width, we don't want to go any more than that. So that's going to be our min. And we also want a math max. And in this case, the maximum would be the lowest bound, so that would be 0 for our cases, or for our particular case. And then V is the thing that we're clamping, so that will clamp us to the region on the screen that is horizontal. And for the vertical, it's going to be much the same. Yeah, pretty easy. And then this we can clamp X that, and then a clamp Y there. So I was actually sort of under the impression that would have done some math for us. Okay, so returning the previous players, and then this can actually just be P. Oh, you know what? Maybe gravity is just really slow. Let's can we bump this up to like a 9? So I really do get the impression that this should be like running quite often. Yeah, there we go. Oh, it's because we're not pardon me, we're not ever setting the previous time. Okay, so let's do game, which will of course be state.game, and then last frame time will be now, and I believe we should so we saw stuff, but it happened way too fast. So let's change that to 1. So that was still too much. So let's do 0.1. Cool. Now, obviously, we're not cleaning up our canvas because because it's, you know, it's just never happening. So let's do C clear rect. This will be x0, y0. Width will be state.canvas.width, and height is going to be state.canvas.height. Bam. Okay, so obviously my math is really basic. Cool. So is there a render loop? Yeah, so this is kind of shitty. But it's actually something that Jorge had suggested, so maybe it's less shitty than I thought. We'll start at index. So we have like an initializer method which like calls our canvas render thing immediately, and this thing actually says like after the render, queue up this action, and this action is render here, and render actually does way too much at this point, but yeah, we get like some delta times, and so this is where we just were. So it runs it, and then the effect here just queues up an animation frame, and that says if we have a context, then we should render canvas. And then at the very end of that, dispatch this after canvas action, which is itself, which isn't super obvious for me jumping in between, but it basically just does like an effect loop, which I got some mixed feelings on, but that's how it currently works. I am sort of curious about what sort of you want to say this, like, yeah, I just don't know what sort of frame rate we're gonna get from this. My guess is that there is going to be some like performance hits from like running this through HyperApp, but you know, I don't know. Oh yeah, this should actually be I think that's why yeah, there we go, that's better. So basically you need to be able to zero out the previous vector. I think there's like there's more velocity variables that I need to handle here. But what's really surprising is I haven't actually found a good like state-based physics simulation. So I might have to do some reading up and make this better. But anyway, we should be able to update our gravity a little bit now to be like 0.1. Yeah, so here this is more like a constant time gravity, and we do want that velocity to increase. That's more like it's the rate of gravity, so that's yeah, it also needs to know like the last state of velocity while putting the current velocity to 0. Yeah, I'll take a peek. One thing I would love though, and I've experimented with this with a couple libraries, is have like a physics step that is just like completely state based. Yeah, all of this could be totally put somewhere else too. And yeah, I was thinking about putting this in a subscription, but I sort of want to be able to share pieces of the state, and that's where I'm not 100% sure how I want to do that yet. well, do you know of any like good documentation for like physics engines? Like, I've certainly read through some like Gaffron Games stuff, but basically what I want is like something that like properly just simulates gravity on objects, because I'm going to be doing my own collision handling. Actually, let's just see if there's like a because I think we can do like relay physics, calculate positions with fixed time step. This is actually a fixed time step, so I need to fix that as well. But yeah, so I'm just you know, I can dump this over here. That's fine. Just reading up on some relay physics, because like I think the way that my code currently is, it's not gonna like nicely preserve like jumps and things like that. So I need to do a better job at physics. And there is like I have came across this before. Physics. I think it might be like a Matt Dezel, if you're familiar with him, project. Yeah, it sure is. The one thing I didn't like about this is it like it only describes points, and he's like, yeah, you know, if you want to make it more than that, then you can implement that yourself. But this is like very close to what I want. But really, I just want like a here's my previous state, pass it to like an integrator, and it gives me a new state at the end. And I haven't found any of those in JavaScript land. Like I think there is like a certain hit to like math. So when you say in the channel, do you mean in like the hyperapp channel, or somewhere else? Because yeah, like I know this physics isn't going to scale particularly well. But we'll see. Okay, so the next pieces that I would do though is basically market which edges are platforms, and the idea there is that I would see from my current foot position downward. Oh, okay, I see. All right, I'll have to check this guy out after the stream, maybe tomorrow, and take a peek. But yeah, so mark a platform, see which is the next closest platform underneath my feet, and make sure that that's like as far down as you can fall, unless you know, like I force the character down or something like that. Well, imperative code can always be rewritten, so that's not a big deal. So I'm not so much looking for accuracy, I'm just looking for yeah, just something that is good enough. But I mean, just for fun, let's I mean, I could certainly add in some like movement. Also, why did my guy stop rendering as soon as I pressed a key? Oh, do I have something that Anyway, so if we did like, we'll do this the shitty way, which is going to be state dot game dot, no, this would be p dot inputs dot vertical greater than 0. Actually, I guess we could do a math dot max 0 that. And let's say like times, I don't know, like 10 times the delta. That should give us like a jump. But at the same time, it like nukes something about the player information. So I'm curious if my action for player, so we have player inputs, horizontal, vertical, blah blah blah. So input change. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. So I think this needs to be a number, something really big. Well, I guess I could turn this to maybe yes for now. It says as long as we do something that involves up or down. No. Yeah, that doesn't matter. So that's fun. Well, let's at least do the left and right, which I think will mostly work out of the box. Just be horizontal. We don't need to map ABS it. And let's say like times 1 for now. Oh, actually, we don't really want to add VX too much. I guess VX, so we can affect it by gravity and just do like VX divided by like 1.5, which is also really awful. Yeah, it's way too fast. I mean, this is too fast too. So let's do 0.01. That's too slow. That's not too bad. I am noticing like some pretty obvious stuttering, considering like it's not even doing a lot of work. I think that's because of the double request animation frame, the way I kind of thought it was. So I might try inverting this so it's more like we can feed state in from here rather than wait on HyperApp. I mean, this console log probably isn't helping either. Oh jeez. No, I need to tell my search to to ignore node modules. Oh my god. That's not too bad. Like, it feels like vaguely the speed, but my up and down doesn't work, and that's weird. Oh yeah, and this could totally be state keybind dot key. Which means I guess we can pull that up here. So this just becomes a value selection. changing the state. So initially that was like my key up, and up gets a value of 1 and down is a 0, which like seems right to me. And then over here it should have you know, reset itself to 0, still vertical. So this part is correct. So yeah, I'm just trying to figure out why I don't seem to get a value for vertical when I definitely seem to get one for horizontal. But like, I did add a jump. Even then, like, that's gonna have to have some sort of like quadratic or whatever people do. Yeah. Oh, I got some new a Michigan Coders Meetup retweeted my live stream here. I guess they are also tired of politics. She's like, you know what? No, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna get into politics. I'm sorry. You don't have to know what. I'll save my opinions for complaining with my wife. All right. So, however, okay. So we got VY, and we basically. Oh, well, we're adding, so that is totally a problem. Okay, so obviously minus 100 is wrong, but a minus 10, no, that's also wrong. Let's do a minus 3. So, because most of the time this will be a 0. So I'm curious why it is definitely okay, so yeah, that's gotta be like a okay, let's do 0.5, which I'm gonna guess is like too much. Yeah. Ugh. Oh, I see. It's also yeah. Well, like I mean, presumably this is mostly a 0, and this this gravity should be pulling it back down. I mean, we can also we can apply some like gravity or some friction here. That might actually be reasonable. Let's see. I mean, that's definitely doing some weird stuff there, but
Yeah, I'll need like some sort of different handler for jumping because yeah, you can just hold up and it's just gonna take you. But yeah, this should really be more like a so greater than 0. Actually, no, we can do that. Math max 0 that. Or mat max. Jeez. Let's do that. So obviously this friction is like way too high. It feels very floaty. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of that friction. It's too weird. Yeah, so it's sort of a it almost needs like when you jump it cycles so many yeah, some sort of thing. Yeah, well, I mean, I don't mind if the player's head jumps off the top there. It's like, ultimately, I don't think that's going to be super common, and plus, at the end of the day, with Smash Brothers, like, I think you can like knock characters like way out of view. So, anyway, my brain is poop, but we're at the point where we can move. We have shitty gravity, really shitty jump physics. I've got some ideas how to resolve that. So, stay tuned, I guess. This was fun though. Like, we've got input and gravity, and we kind of, for 3 hours worth of work, especially when we weren't sure how this was all going to integrate with like HyperApp's UI. Yeah. I will put this up in repo, and I'll post it in the HyperApp general as well, and then hopefully there'll be some opportunities to tinker with it. Yeah. Well, thanks for joining me. I had a lot of fun. No one showed up on YouTube, which is maybe good, unless someone is there now and I never saw them come on. Nope. Oh, hey, no, let's not go there. So I'm gonna just close that. Yeah, maybe I'll be working on this next week as well. We'll see. That's all I got for the time being. But yeah, I'll get this all committed up, post it in HyperApp, and yeah, that's all I got. Cool. So don't forget to follow, like, subscribe, thumbs up, retweet, do stuff. If you really like my stuff and you want to give me some money, and that money is going to go towards me streaming and fueling my coffee addiction and ensuring that I can keep contributing to open source, I got some links vaguely over there. I did this last time. We'll just, you can QR code those. They don't auto add you to the list, so you gotta still, like, check it out if you are interested in that. But of course, you don't have to. I'm still gonna try my best to have like advertisement free resources for HyperApp and stuff, and streaming, and at some point in the near future YouTube videos. Also, if you go to mrbarry.com, I've got a HyperApp course that I did through Pact Publishing. So if you want to learn about HyperApp, you can do that. And if you don't, I still got lots of great resources up at mrberry.com. And that is all I got. I will see all of you lovely human beings, who for the most part is one human being, but maybe two, but the other guy is really quiet. That's all I got. Alright, bye.